Although the purpose
Although
and
the purpose
techniques
and
were often
techniques were
magical,
often magical,
alchemy was,
alchemy
in many
was in
ways,
many
the
ways the
predecessor
predecessor
of the
of the
modern
modern
science of
science
chemistry.
of chemistry.
The fundamental
The
premise of
fundamental
alchemy
premise of
derived from
alchemy
the best
derived from
philosophical
best
dogma and
philosophical
scientific
dogma and
practice of
traffic
the
part
time,
all the time.
and the majority
The
of
majority
educated
of
persons
educated
between
persons
1400
between
and
1400 and
1600
1600
believed that
believed that
alchemy had
alchemy had
great merit.
great merit.
The earliest
The
authentic
earliest
works on
authentic
European
work in
alchemy
Norwegian alchemy
are those
was
of the
those of
English monk
English
Roger
monk
Bacon
Roger
and the
Bacon
German
and the
philosopher
German
Saint
philosopher
Albertus
Saint
Magnus.
Albertus
In their
Magnus. In
treatises,
their
they maintained
treatise,
that
they
gold
maintained
was
the
the
gold
perfect
was a
metal,
perfect
and
metal,
that inferior metals such
and the
as lead and
vertex
mercury were removed by various degrees of
removed by various
imperfection
degree
from
of
gold.
imperfection
They
from
further
gold.
asserted
They
that these
further
base metals
asserted
could
that
be
these
transmuted
could
to
be
gold
transmitted to
by
gold by
blending them
blending
with a
them
substance
with a
more
substance
perfect
more
than gold.
perfect than gold.
This elusive
This
substance
elusive
was referred
substance
to
was
as the
referred to as the
philosopher's stone.
philosopher's stone.
The process was
The
called
process was called
transmutation. Most of
transmutation.
the early
And most of
alchemists
the early
were
alchemists
artisans
were
who were accustomed to keeping trade secrets and often resorted to cryptic terminology to record the progress of their work. The term sun was used for gold, moon for silver, and the five known planets for the base metals. This convention of
This
substituting
convention was
symbolic
substituted
language attracted some mystical philosophers who compared the search for the perfect metal with the struggle of humankind for the perfection of the soul. The philosophers began to use the artisans' terms in the mystical literature that they produced. Thus, by the 14th century, alchemy had developed two distinct groups of practitioners, the laboratory alchemist and the literary alchemist. Both groups of alchemists continued to work throughout the history of alchemy, but of course, it was the literary alchemist who was more likely to produce a written record. Therefore, much of what is known about the science of alchemy is derived from philosophers rather than from the alchemists who labored in laboratories. Despite centuries of experimentation, laboratory alchemists failed to produce gold from other materials. However, they gained wide knowledge of chemical substances, discovered chemical properties, and invented many of the tools and techniques that are used by chemists today. Many laboratory chemists earnestly devoted themselves to the scientific discovery of new compounds and reactions, and therefore must be considered the legitimate forefathers of modern chemistry. They continued to call themselves alchemists, but they were becoming true chemists.
Trade is a long 専門書じゃん。